Hi there, I'm Lisa, and today I'm going to explain to you all about the SA node and the electrocardiogram. So the SA node is known as the sinoatrial node. It is the pacemaker of the heart. It sets the rhythm of the heartbeats. So when we speak about the SA node, it has an action potential, and that is driven by the cycle of ion movements. Here I have a graph labeled. On the x-axis, we have it in time, and the unit will be in milliseconds. And then on the y-axis will be the membrane potential in millivolts. Why we have it in milliseconds and millivolts is because each heartbeat occurs at a very rapid pace. So when we first start off, what initiates the depolarization of the membrane potential would be a slow influx of sodium ions that come within the membrane. And then you see this huge drastic depolarization. That rapid depolarization is from the calcium ions that flow into the membrane. And then right when we reach the top, it needs to come back down, right? And when it comes back down, that term is called repolarization. When the membrane is repolarized, that is going to bring the membrane potential all the way back to around, I would say, negative 60 millivolts. And that's going to be the pacemaker potential. When repolarization occurs, it's because there is an outflow of potassium ions coming out of the cell membrane. And I wanted to say that whenever you see a depolarization and repolarization, that is known as action potential. I wanted to note the order of the SA node action potential. So the action potential starts at the SA node. That is called the sinoatrial node. So that would be located on the right atrium. So that once the pacemaker starts sending its electric signals, that's then going to move down towards what is called the AV node, the atrioventricular node. Atrioventricular node means that it sits between the atria and the ventricles. And then that's going to flow through to what is called the bundle of His. So the bundle of His is then going to separate into what we call the Purkinje fibers. The Purkinje fibers are going to go towards the apex of the heart. And that's what's going to lead to a heart contraction. So now let's talk about an ECG, an electrocardiogram, and how that relates to the SA node potential. So once the SA node potential starts, that's going to trigger atrial depolarization, which is represented by this P wave. This P wave is when the atrials depolarize, meaning that they contract. Once they contract, fluid from the atria are going to flow from the atria down to the ventricles on both sides. And that's going to be known as the PR interval. That's when the atria are going to contract. In the QRS complex, that's when the blood flow from the ventricles are going to go and depolarize the ventricles. That's going to pump the blood out from the ventricles into the aorta and the pulmonary trunk. So then that is also going to be the QRS complex is also going to be when the atria repolarize, which means to bring it back to resting membrane potential. And usually atrial repolarization is not seen in an ECG. It's masked by the ventricular depolarization. Lastly, we have the T wave. In this T wave, that's when the ventricles repolarize, meaning that they relax.